Hey everyone, and welcome to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tara.
Greetings, citizens.
This is our sci-fi movie podcast where we talk about a science fiction film every week, and then sometimes at the end of the show we also have a bonus section with a Mystery Science Theater 3000 discussion. We don't have that this week though. We're getting a little bit ahead in recording, so we didn't have time to watch one before this episode, but I think we're safe in promising that next episode we'll have one. So Tara's thinking about it, I was like, did we set something up? I think we did. But yes, so that's the plan for next time. So no, we talk about sci-fi movies every week, and somehow I was convinced, and admittedly maybe a movie just like this one would be is the best like thing to do right after Primer, because last episode was Primer. That melted our brains. I feel like so Tara's idea here, the genius idea, was to watch a movie with a main character whose brain was melted already, and that would be how we cope with the stress of post-Primer.
This is what our intelligence level is at now, yeah, after Primer.
So we are going to talk about Rocketman, and not the Elton John biopic, which is currently out just now, or just came out and is maybe left theaters by now.
See, that's exactly why we should be doing this movie now.
Yes.
So we get all the clicks.
This is the 90. Well, yeah, but it's going to be like 2 weeks before it actually goes up. But
Dang it.
by the time this is on YouTube for everyone, like that Rocketman movie will be long gone from theaters. Like, there's no way it's still going to be around.
Yeah. Well, it's still relevant.
Unless we go in a box and get up like 2 weeks ago. It's a Primer ref, Tara. Primer.
I told you my brain's melted, man. I can't do it.
Just last episode we did Primer. Can I not make Primer jokes? Is it already the window's passed?
It's gone.
Damn it. Okay. So not only that, right? So it's not Rocketman, Elton John. Although I did laugh in the end credits because the song Rocketman by Elton John does in fact play in the end credits of this Rocketman movie.
Rocketman burning out this fuse up here alone. He's going on a farewell tour. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see if he's really leaving.
That was a wonderful. Is that the first time I've got you to sing on a show? I think it might be. Because I sing all the time on shows. People hate me for it, but
I'm sure they'll hate me too.
No shame. No shame. Although I'm knocking down my bottle of water, which I have to tell you, it's so warm right now. Right, it's so warm. We've finally hit that kind of part of summer where the days are kind of unbearable. I've got a fan on, right. So I've been going through a lot of water today, and what's really annoying is that because it's so warm, I get to about here and it's too warm to drink, and it upsets me because it's nice and cold right now.
Okay, I drink like room temperature water all the time. It's good for the voice, isn't it? A lot of singers do it. Maybe radio people should do it too. Or podcasters.
How about the people at home suffer through this standard of voice and I will be comfortable with some cold water? How about that?
Okay, whatever.
How about
you.
I'll make sacrifices elsewhere. This is not one thing. I'm not drinking room temperature water for your sake at home, all right?
Not a man of the people, Peter.
Maybe for like a $1,000 Patreon tier or something though. Maybe
It's going to take $1,000 for you to drink lukewarm water.
All right, 100. All right, I'm not that greedy. Anyway, so it's really warm. I was just complaining about my water, but so this is a comedy. It's not the first comedy we've done because Men in Black is definitely a sci-fi comedy. So we've definitely done a sci-fi comedy before, but this is more of a comedy than Men in Black is. Like Men in Black still has this like tiptoes in sci-fi, and this does in the sense that they're going to Mars. But
yeah, this is definitely like slapstick.
This is a full-on comedy. It's a 90s comedy. It's got all the audio cues you expect. It's got the whistle thing, the wazoo, or whatever it is at the end of the joke sometimes, like and things like that. Like all like kazoo.
Yeah.
Kazoo, wazoo.
Ping pong balls do damage. Like physical damage in this movie. Yeah.
There's fart jokes. There's all these things, right? And I had seen this as a kid. The last time you saw this, Tara, right? Since you were the one who came to me and says, "Peter," right? You smacked the table. You went, "Peter, we have to do Rocketman. And I'm like,
So last time I saw Rocketman was probably about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago.
what?
Yeah. But, you know, it had been a long time. I watched this movie a lot with my brother when we were kids. And it had come out.
Wait, hold on a second. We were already making shows together like 3 or 4 months ago. Are you telling me that you had revisited this recently?
Yeah.
And that's what you've watched this movie. You've watched 1997's Rocketman twice in the space of 4 months.
This movie holds up. We didn't mention who it was written by yet.
Oh, can I just say, Tara was trying to get me to put Rocketman on this show before Chernobyl, and I want to point that out because the excuse she's using now is that one of the writers of this, there's like 5 writers on this movie, if you can believe that. Craig Mazin is the sole writer and creator of Chernobyl, the HBO miniseries, which was, by all accounts,
the HBO masterpiece.
Yes, which by all accounts was freaking excellent, right? And me and Tara reviewed, well, at least 3 episodes of that together. Connor did the first 2. He didn't like it that much because he's a weird, smelly ginger. And Tara came in, and we have much fun talking about the rest of it. Oh, fun's maybe not the right word because it's, you know, a really grisly, you know, gritty horror story about radiation. But
there are moments of levity.
There's moments,
certain the memes that have come from it.
Oh yes, comrade, yes. Beware the graphite. So this is a sci-fi comedy about a goofball played by Harlan Williams, who somehow locks his way into going on the first mission to Mars in 1997. Also stars William Sadler, kind of as your straight-faced man. You also have Beau Bridges in there. You have Jeffrey DeMunn, who... Jeffrey DeMunn, if you don't know who that is, you'll recognise him mainly from Shawshank Redemption and Green Mile. He's like a big character in both of those movies.
Yeah, I think William Sadler was in both of those films too.
Do you know what? You're right, actually. I never even thought... Because William Sadler I know from so many things, it never occurred to me he's in both those too, but... like... Is this some sort of weird, like, Shawshank reunion?
It's a weird reunion, huh?
Well, that's so weird. And then you have...
William Sadler, I should mention, is also known for the hit television series Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
I did not know he was in that.
Yeah. He is the introduction to Section 31.
Oh, interesting. I know what that is. No, William Sadler I like a lot. He's popped up in a bunch of stuff. Like he's the banker villain in a Steven Seagal film called Hard to Kill. You know, he's good in that. He was in the original Roswell TV show, but mainly I know him from a bunch of movies. I know him from Shawshank and Green Mile. He pops up.
He's sort of always a bridesmaid, never a bride, though, right?
Yeah, I mean he's the president in the MCU. Iron Man 3.
That's true.
He was the president. So
he's great.
Neat little touches. Yeah.
He's got a great face.
He does. He's very, very stern face. He always looks like he's like pissed off at whoever he's talking to. And then our sort of third main, because our 3 main characters are Fred, played by Harland, Wild Bill, played by. So it's actually funny that his character's named Bill, because Bill's short for William, so it's essentially his own name. And then you have the third main character, which is Julie Ford, played by Jessica Lundy, who, I mean, isn't really known for anything, except one thing that Tara decided to point out, because she's like, do you remember her from Seinfeld? And I'm like, no, not really. And I get sent a clip. Yeah, you could do it. Do her thing.
Oh, is that pretty good?
Oh, I don't know. I was getting more. What's the character's name from Friends who has the bad laugh?
Oh, I didn't watch Friends.
Yeah, Chandler dates someone who's got. Now, admittedly, I'm sure Seinfeld probably did it first, so they were probably ripping off Seinfeld. But it sounded more.
Or just the nanny.
I want to say Janet or Janice. I think it's Janice. But anyway,
I don't know. I didn't do Friends.
But no, yeah, she was on an episode of Seinfeld, and he asked her out for a date, but then he told a joke. And her laugh is horrible. She's the woman with the horrible laugh. So she's our love interest in this, if you can believe it. So
there's one more actor, the chimp.
The chimp, of course. Ulysses. Is that the chimp's real name?
I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not.
It's probably more than one chimp.
Yeah, probably more than one chimp. But yeah, so that's your characters, that's your cast list. The movie, you know, they've got a mission to Mars, but the guy they've got doing the computer calculations on the test runs gets injured. He injures himself, trying to prove that he was right and it's not the computer software, which our main character of Fred designed, and he proves that he's right. So he ends up being a candidate to replace him because they have to launch by a certain date. So they quickly put him through all the tests and training, and then obviously he goes on the mission. But he's such a goofball. He's from a kids' TV show essentially. He's essentially a Chuckle Brother, which Tara won't get that reference, but for people from the UK, he's a Chuckle Brother. And
sure, like he's very much a cartoon.
Yeah,
I thought of him a lot as like, this is kind of like watching Homer goes to space, you know, episode of The Simpsons. Yeah, but on a movie scale and live action.
I don't even know where to begin. I don't know where to begin.
Did you like this movie?
I asked you that first, but you've already kind of said it, I suppose. you basically opened the show with going, "It holds up! It holds up, everyone!" Oh my god. Last week I had to record Leprechaun 2 with Tim, and it was something else, and I feel like this is as close as we're getting for a while to something like that.
Hey, Leprechaun 2, it may not hold up, but it stuck with me since I was a kid.
It's better than the first one, I'll give it that.
It's still the reason I say bless you when people sneeze 3 times. I'm not religious. Why would I say that?
I'm pretty sure everyone says that here, but no one who says it's actually religious. it's just what you say.
Maybe everyone's seen Leprechaun 2.
Don't even
You don't want to become the bride.
I certainly do not, no. Just for the record, note it down, someone. I do not want to become the bride of the leprechaun. Right, now that I've said that, I've got it off my chest. Did I enjoy this movie? Do you know what I hate? Do you know what I hate about that question? Is that I remembered this being really stupid. I saw it when I was a kid, once or twice. It was on the Disney Channel, I'm sure, growing up. So I probably didn't see it. I probably didn't see it in '97. It was probably like a year or two later when it was on the channel. And I remember liking it as a kid because I like space. I like spaceships.
Yeah.
We have a character here who arguably has the mental capacity of like a 7, 8, 9-year-old, which I was about at the time.
Hey. Yeah.
Right. So it's got that going for it. But you know, in my memory, I was like, this was just a really stupid, goofy kids movie, and I go into it expecting that, and it very much is a stupid, goofy kids movie. But what I hate is that I can't sit here and say that I wasn't laughing a reasonable amount of the time that it was on, even though I kind of hate it. Like, but here's the thing though, is I'm not sure like how much of my laughter came from the fact that I knew you liked this. So when a joke happened that I didn't think it was funny, but the thought of you laughing at the joke made me laugh.
Oh, it's so good.
There's a lot of contextual things in this movie where I feel like it's enhanced because of certain things. There's a whole test that they do when they're training for space that made me think of the first episode of the classic Twilight Zone, and because I was thinking of that, and then we're getting the Fred Z. Randall version of it, you know, and this, I couldn't help but like laugh at the comparison in my head, but it wasn't because it was necessarily. I don't know what to say about this movie. What have you done to me?
It's okay. I mean, you could say that the parts that you like were probably written by the Chernobyl guy.
And all the other parts were, sure.
Yeah.
So before we get to spoiler, I honestly feel like there's not much, because I think most of this movie is like just let's talk about how stupid the jokes are and talk about each one. That's basically what most of the movie is going to be, because it's not like the plot matters that much. It's not like we're going to talk about character themes or growth or arcs or anything else.
There is definitely arcs. Every character has an arc in the film, and there's some great setups that pay off later on.
They all have the same arc. They all have the I hate this asshole. By the end, oh, he's kind of lovable even though he's a complete idiot. That's the arc. That is everyone's arc except him, obviously.
Okay, I might not fight you on that then, but
I'm excited when we get to spoilers. I'm excited for you to tell me what Fred. I should say Zed to spite him, but it's an American name, so I'll say Fred Z. Randall. Like what his character arc is, because I'm not entirely sure, honestly, coming out of the film.
Okay.
So, but I want to say, so those two moments in this film where I remembered something right before it happened, and I got annoyed at myself for remembering it. And one of them was early on. I'll save the other one for later because it was a line quite late on in the film. But early on, right, when he's first been accepted to go into the testing, and he's leaving home, he still lives with his parents, and his mum's running out, goes, "Oh, you're running away again." I'm not running away, Mum. Like, I'm a grown man. I'm going to go do things. And she brings him like a plate of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which, by the way, disgusting. How dare you, you filthy people.
What? You don't like PB&J?
Peanut butter and jelly should not be together. It is absolute a travesty.
What even are you?
Peanut butter and jelly is an American thing. People don't
Who doesn't like peanut butter and jelly?
I tried it in my 20s because I wanted to know what it tasted like, because it's this weird thing that's always mentioned in American movies and TV shows, and it was vile. It was disgusting.
It's salty, it's sweet, it's got bread. What's not to like?
Peanut butter's great. Jelly, or jam, to say it properly, is pretty great.
Well, they're two different things. Jelly and jam are two different things.
Well, what's jelly to you then? Because jelly to us is what you call Jello.
Yeah, jelly is more of just like it's mostly sugar, and it's like a gelatin, but with, I guess, juice in it. But it's more concentrated than Jello, though. And jam is more like a mixture of fruit and sugar that's been smashed and pureed.
So you're saying it didn't work for me because I did it with jam? Is that what you're saying?
No, it should still be delicious. You're crazy. Or a robot. What are you?
I'm sorry. No,
it's like a perfectly neutral sandwich. Everybody likes it.
It's the most neutral about it. It's like the most unhealthy sandwich you could possibly have.
Okay, I don't think so. Peanut butter and like fruit with a little bit of sugar in it, I don't think so.
I love peanut butter.
You got your legumes. You got your antioxidants.
You're not going to sit here and
get whole wheat bread. You got your fiber.
You're not going to sit here and argue with me that peanut butter is a healthy sandwich option.
I mean, why not? It's not that bad. I mean, yeah, it's a little high in fat, but like, as long as you don't have a nut allergy.
Anyway, okay. I can't believe it took like...
My mind's been blown.
This is like 4 or 5 months of recording together and you've just learned that I hate peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah. The thought had literally never crossed my mind that it was even possible.
Look, maybe if I'd been given it as a 5-year-old and acquired a taste for it, maybe I'd feel differently. But that doesn't happen. Okay? It doesn't happen in what I will call the civilized countries.
I don't even know who you are anymore. I feel so lost.
Can I take this moment to remind you that I gave Alex agreed to do Rocketman? Can I win you back over with that fact?
You're welcome.
Are we besties again? Am I forgiven?
Yeah, all right.
Okay, good. Don't want the peanut butter jelly tension for the rest of the episode to derail things. Anyway, so the moment that I remembered is that the mum comes out with this plate of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with all the crust cut off, which is definitely a kid-like thing, because this is the weird thing, is that I definitely hated the crust as a kid. As an adult, I love the crusts. I think the crust is the best part.
Yeah, it's great.
As long as it's a good bread. Like, you do get some shitty...
I've never been anti-crust, even as a kid.
But you do get some shitty bread, though, and I think this is maybe what did it as a kid, is that, depending on where the loaf was bought from, sometimes you get like a shittier crust that you don't like very much. So now I'm just like, no, I pick the good bread. I just pick bread that I know I'll like, with good crust.
Right,
then,
something flaky.
And then the crust is the best part, yeah. So anyway, I like thick bread as well. For the record, I hate people who buy thin bread. No, I want the thick cut bread. Anyway. That's not...
Getting hungry.
I'm sorry. Anyway, so she brings out these sandwiches, and she's also cut them into shapes, right? She's got like a star, a rocket ship, a moon. Was it a circle? It's a circle.
Yeah.
But anyway, he says, I remembered as soon as this plate came out, I remembered him going, I'll take the rocket ship, and eats the rocket ship. I remembered that moment.
Mom, I'm a full-grown man. I do not need sandwiches. I'll take the rocket ship. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess, I'll give the spoiler warning. We're just going to go back to the start of the movie. We're going to work our way through it as we do. Okay. So, the movie starts with a scene with young Fred as a child, who's pretending that he's in a spaceship. He's actually in the washing machine.
The dryer.
Or the dryer, whatever one it is. I mean, it's a circle, porthole. He's got like a photo of the Earth, like outside the thingy, and he's doing all this talk, all this like jargon. He's like, T minus to this and blah blah blah, and then the turns on and he starts spraying. The mum comes up and gets him. Right, there's nothing inherently wrong with this scene. I'm not complaining about this scene. Right, it's fine. It's a fine scene saying the kid cares about space travel. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
My complaint with this scene is that him as an adult for the rest of the movie is dumber than he is in this scene. This kid seems more level-headed than Fred does for the rest of the film. Fred
is not dumb. He's just a little socially inept. That's all. We all know people like this.
No. I will not accept this. I am socially inept. This is not socially inept.
No way. I mean, the man has clearly graduated from a good school. He wrote a program to get people to Mars.
Look, I am about as nerdy as most circles will experience, and I want to stuff this asshole in a locker, right?
I have a friend who scored very well on his SATs, went to Berkeley, and got his first apartment, and called another friend of mine because he couldn't figure out how to light his electric stove. That's who this guy is. He's like an extreme version of that. For the record, you don't light electric stoves. It's electric.
I'm aware of this, yes. I have a gas stove myself, so it does in fact light.
Yes, as do I.
Yes, but it's got a built-in thing though. You don't have to spark it yourself.
Sure, it has a little ignite option.
Yes,
got it.
It's a fancy advance. I remember I went to someone's house because I've always had that. Like all my life, I've had like just ones that'll do it themselves. And I went to someone's house. It was my friend's like first apartment after like high school, and they got like this cheap like cooker, and it was like the stove, and they had to use like one of those lighters to like light. I'm like, what the hell is this caveman bullshit? What is this?
Gus disapproves.
Yeah, Gus disapproves. It's like I don't know why this has turned into the shit on the Americans episode, but it's like Americans don't have an electric kettle and have to heat up water on the stove, or in a more extreme example, in the microwave, which I have heard happens.
I do that. We don't heat up water here because we don't make tea. We make coffee.
You still have to heat up water for coffee?
Well, yeah, but you boil it with the coffee in the coffee maker.
The electric kettle is an all-purpose device, though. You can use it for many a thing that you need hot water for.
We need hot water for that you can't microwave.
This is. I don't even drink tea. I can drink it. I don't think it's disgusting like coffee is, but like I have no desire for tea like 360 days out of the year.
Yeah, I'm not a tea person. I can do mint tea, but that's it.
Yeah, I'm kind of whenever someone says, "Oh, do you want to go to like Starbucks or something?" I'm like, I guess I'm getting that milkshakey frap thing that I like because like I don't like any hot drinks. So I'll have diabetes in a cup.
I'll get the candy, please. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh dear. Anyway.
Starbucks for ice cream? That's disgusting. Why ruin ice cream?
Oh dear. Okay. Right, so we've done the first scene. We've talked about the first scene. So we're introduced to him, and this is where I say like he's like a cartoon character, or actually Joey's like he's kind of like Mr. Bean in some places, because the opening where he drives his
it's a lot of accidental like things working out for him.
Yeah, it was specifically the way he drives into work, and he parks his car between two cars, and he has to come out the top, the sunroof.
Yeah, that is Mr. Bean, isn't it?
That is so Mr. Bean. It's not even like disguising the fact that it's, because this would have been right at the height of Mr. Bean as well. 97. This is the year.
Oh sure, I watched Mr. Bean as a kid.
Yeah, because I think the Bean movie might have even been the same year. It was around this time. But so we see them testing, and the computer guy is like, nah, my calculations are right, there's something wrong with the software. They're like, oh, well, go find the guy who made it then. So that leads us to him, and they're waiting in his office when he comes in, and they're hiding behind him, and he doesn't see them. And he's got like a poster of their crew on the wall, but he's got himself cut out and like pasted on the side of it as if he's got his arm around Julie, right?
Yeah.
So just a little creepy. But he sits down at his computer, and he's like, 5 minutes till actual workday time. That means 5 minutes to save the world. And he starts playing computer games. And Joe, what I love about this is that this is like peak mid-90s. Whoever wrote this doesn't understand how video games work or how they are. So they've just got him with, because there was a time in the 90s where if someone was playing a video game in a movie or a TV show, it would be the flight control stick. It would always be that.
Yeah, he's got a joystick on either side of his rotating chair.
Yeah, like it was always that. It was never an actual controller for a console. It was always the joystick, because that's what.
Did you not use the joystick?
I have never touched one.
Oh really? That's how I played like computer games for a long time, because for a while it was just a lot of like Wing Commander and Flight Simulator, or like X-Wing games or Descent. Like they're all flying games, and it's just so much easier.
So what you're saying is that you're older than me.
This has already been established.
Just checking. I love how mentioning you're older than me is almost as common now as my Buffy references. It's like I'll find a way to sort of.
You do not get points for this. This is not going to be a recurring bit.
Oh no, of course not. I'll find a place for my other reference later on. No, don't you worry. So they catch him playing his video game, and they want to talk to him. And they're like, "Hey, he sort of nerds out." I did. Oh, what was the line he says to William Sadler here? About.
Oh, he said, "I feel like a paleontologist who stumbled upon a dinosaur."
Yeah, I've been a paleontologist for decades, and I finally got to meet a dinosaur.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
And he said, "You've been on like so many missions," and he gives him an actual number. Sadler gives him an actual number, like 13. But who's counting? Apparently, you are.
Look, Joe, I'm going to confess here is that this movie actually works half the time, and it works at moments like these when the joke is that he says things that point other people's bullshit out without him meaning to do that, and they don't want that thing pointed out, so that's when it becomes funny. It's very much it's very much, and in some ways, not that she's this goofy, but like the character of Cordelia Chase in the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who would always blurt things out, and how people are feeling or what they're thinking, and sort of like, she wouldn't have time for like covering things up. She'd always see past the bullshit. Right. And I feel like here he does this, but he does it more accidentally, where he just kind of stumbles onto it, and that's kind of when it becomes funny. The slapsticky stuff I'm less into necessarily. It depends what it is, I suppose.
Sure. This is a family movie, meaning like your lowest like
common denominator.
I don't want to say that. I'm gonna say like from the really young kids to grown-ups taking the kids to the movie theater. Like everybody could enjoy it.
Well, the first joke that
and Harlan Williams is for the kids.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. The first joke that really made me laugh, actually, before I get to that, we'll just mention the end of this scene. He sits down and says, "Okay, let me look at the data," and he's looking at it for a minute. There's a stupid joke where he's like, "Oh, that's it. Yep. Oh, I've got it. Yeah, I had this popcorn kernel in my teeth for the last 2 weeks. I got it." Why are you laughing at that? That wasn't that funny.
I know. It was fine.
But he finally,
and then he flicks it.
yeah, he just flicks it somewhere. Yeah,
He flicks it, but it makes like this bonk sound. Like all the sound effects are so exaggerated.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
anything is lethal in this movie.
Yeah.
You're
So
the popcorn kernel.
he looks at the data. He's like, "Oh, here's your problem. Here, you've not accounted for this other set of figures or whatever, or this differential." And the computer guy's like, "Oh no, don't. No, my numbers are valid. Don't you say I'm bad at my job? How dare you?" He's like, "No, just Sarah, watch. Like, let me put in something what we call the correct numbers, and we'll see what happens." And he has a little model.
We'll do it the right way.
Yeah, he has a little model of the landing rover, or pod, or whatever you call it. And it sort of spins up and then lands, and the computer simulation kind of like completes properly. And then the guy's like, "Well, no, let me show you how I do it, and I'll show you that it works." And sure, he types it in, but then it starts spinning really fast. And this is how he gets injured, because the landing module hits him in the head. Which, by the way, how did that hitting him in the head lead to him in a neck brace? I would love to hear this.
It's because
Whiplash?
he gets progressively worse because things keep happening to him because of Fred.
Well, let's be honest.
I don't know. I mean, if the popcorn kernel being flicked at someone's head can make that kind of sound, then yeah, a model made out of popsicle sticks can cause a skull fracture. This is just movie logic.
Let's be honest here.
It's consistent throughout the whole film.
This movie is Fred systematically destroying this man's life. Like, that's what this movie is. He systematically injures, re-injures. Like, the man barely steps out of his wheelchair halfway through this film and then immediately gets injured again by Fred. That is he
lands on his head.
The sequence of events.
While he's sitting in a wheelchair.
Right. So the first line in the movie that genuinely made me laugh, and I think it made me laugh again because it's a dumb line, but it's a sort of dumb sense of humor that we kind of joke about when we're watching Mystery Science Theater films, where he meets Julie for the first time. There's a whole confusion because he's not seen the chimp yet. He's not seen Ulysses, and he's just been told that he's meeting his roommate, so he thinks Julie's his roommate, and he's all kind of flustered and excited, and he's like, "Oh, it'll be an honor sleeping with you." Which is obviously a line that I'm going to use now. But, "I'll be an honor sleeping with you." And then it kind of ruins it for me a little bit, because he kind of like coughs and realizes what he said, and he's like, "Oh, I'm in separate beds." I'm like, no, don't do that. Just say it deadpan and let it sit. Let it sit. Yes. Do you agree, disagree with this line?
Yeah, it's a good line.
Yeah. What I enjoy less of is him wrestling with the chimp behind the glass and the room being wrecked. Like, it's not that I don't like some slapstick, because I actually like Mr. Bean a lot. He's definitely got some slapstick in him. Mm-hmm. But some of this is just a bit too cartoony for me. I know it's not a serious movie, but you're telling me neither of them having this conversation hear any of this, because he's literally knocking over shelves and shelves of like equipment. There's chaos happening.
I don't know. Soundproof glass, I guess.
Oh my god!
It's NASA, right? They've got all the best stuff.
Is this going to be like another hour of me like pointing things out and you defending everything with every fiber of your being? No, Peter, this is why it's okay. Listen to me.
I mean, the movie doesn't try to pretend that it's something else.
I hate to argue because I can't argue with it.
This is not highbrow.
No. He also puts his foot in his mouth with Bud Nesbitt, who he actually calls the... I don't know what that word was, but it's like you're the failure of Apollo 13 or something to that effect.
Yeah, like you're the guy who caused Apollo 13, but like stops, like, I don't know, stops talking halfway through. Yeah,
but then the guy in charge walks through the door and sees all the mess and assumes that it's him. He's like, "Oh, you been making more mistakes there, Ned," or Bud rather.
Yeah, clearly they have history.
Yeah, so, and obviously he's got kind of the sweet story where he gets his redemption at the end when he gets to be in mission control and talk them through the storm and whatever. But that's the whole thing.
I like seeing Beau Bridges. We don't get a lot of him. He's always the Although I did see him in Stargate SG-1 because I watched an episode of that today. It was just on TV during breakfast, and I thought I'm going to check this out since we watched Stargate the other day.
just a random episode in the middle.
And I was really excited to see Beau Bridges.
Yeah, and also the voice of Kratos from the God of War games.
Christopher Judge, yeah.
There you go.
He says "indeed" a lot in the show. I don't know anything about the show or anybody's character. Did not get into it, but
well, to be fair, I think starting a random episode doesn't help with that. Like, you know, if you started with episode 1, maybe it draws you in.
I started watching local news.
Yeah. So
I had my share of SIG alerts for the day. I already knew what the weather was going to be, so yeah.
All right.
There's so many channels here now. Like I get so overwhelmed when I turn the TV on. I'm used to 0 channels because I haven't had cable in a while, but now there's like 1,600 channels, and like half of them are HD, and I don't know which ones. That's a lot of channels to channel surf through.
It is. I've not channel surfed in like probably close to a decade at this point. It's something I've just went away from.
So I saw something with a familiar title. I'm like, I'm just sticking with this.
Sure.
I'm sure it's a fine show for anybody who's into Stargate SG-1.
There's certain channels that I would maybe utilize if they were in HD, because it's the niche ones that I like. You know, the horror channel. Like, if the horror channel was in HD, I might watch some stuff on it. But
I wonder if I have a horror channel.
You got 1,600. There's bound to be a horror-esque channel in there somewhere.
I know. It's gonna take me 3 months to find it.
I bet like 200 at least are porn. That's my guess.
Yeah, there's definitely porn.
Yeah.
I saw where those were.
Oh, you went that high in the numbers because they're always up top. You always you can keep going higher.
Just past the music channels.
Just past the music channels. Oh dear. Where were we in the movie? I'm losing track. So he goes to the bar and William Sadler plays a joke on him. Gets him drunk. Even though I don't think he's ever been drunk before, so he goes kind of wacky. And then we get the portion of the movie. The next like 20 minutes of the movie is like going through each of the tests, which I think we can talk about each one on their own.
Sure.
Because I think the first one's probably the most interesting one. This was the one that I was referring to when I was talking about Twilight Zone. So I'm going to spoil the first ever episode of classic Twilight Zone here, just so I can say why it's like relevant. But first episode of Twilight Zone is an episode where someone's like wandering around town on their own and is wondering why there's no one else around. And the plot twist of the episode is that it's actually, this is all in his head because he's went mad from being in an isolation room because they're testing like the effects of isolation for space travel. So obviously this popped into my mind when they're doing this test with him. And
obviously.
They've got like another person who knows the science but didn't test very well. So we'll test him again, see if he does better this time. And so they've got their isolation rooms next to each other, right? So they can't see each other, but if they yell, they can hear each other, and that's important.
Not the best isolation chamber design.
No, because it's not really.
You can talk to the other person.
Yeah, not really the best isolation. So what this actually turns into, so I mean, this is really a science fiction horror film because this next section is about Fred making this other guy. I think Gary's his name, or no, Gordon. Sorry, it's Gordon. Making him insane. He drives him to insanity by the end of this 24-hour period. They have to stay in this box on their own because he never shuts up. He sings. He yodels. He talks to his own echo. He does a puppet show.
Puppet shows with socks.
I mean, he literally ends the test with them opening the door. And he's like, "Oh, can you give me a few more minutes? I just started the third act." Like that. That's the line he has at the end of it.
Turns out he's perfect for space travel.
It turns out he's just psychotic enough for space travel, I think is the correct term here.
Gordon came out with his pants on his head,
saying that someone stole his pants.
It's crazy.
Go on. So far,
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
I have been sitting describing some of these scenes, and then you're reacting to them. I want you to tell me about these scenes. What's the next one? Let's swap roles for a second here.
The one after that, I think it's the spinny thing. I don't know what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're testing the G-force.
Well, it's like motion sickness testing, essentially.
Sure, yeah. So they're testing G-force. So you have to go in the chair, and then they do the spinny thing they get from 4Gs. And of course, William Sadler's character, Bill, holds the record for the most amount of G's sustained without getting motion sickness or passing out. And so he gives the technician the nod, like, start him off at 5. So they go to 5. And
that's not gloss. Tara, let's not gloss over the fact that Gordon gets off the thing.
Gordon did it first. He went to 5 something.
Yeah,
he got off, and didn't get sick, but he looks pretty bad. And then Harlan Williams goes, "Shouldn't have had that liverwurst and onion sandwich for lunch," and pats him on the back, and he immediately goes and throws up.
I hate that your laughter and enjoyment of this has infected me. I hate it. I hate that I laughed as much as I did at this stupid movie.
Yeah, I know you laughed during the movie.
I did, but I don't know if it's part of it. I think it's because you were so hell bent on me watching it, and I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm just like, what?
Hey, this show is going to cover all forms of sci-fi. We do not discriminate.
The good and clearly the bad.
Whoa. You mean clearly. This is from soon-to-be Emmy Award-winning writer of Chernobyl.
Craig Mazin.
Craig Mazin, yeah.
There you go.
I've only listened to like 5 episodes of the podcast with him.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Yeah, so that's that test. But of course, Bill...
He takes it as a ride, yeah. And he keeps saying, go faster and faster, and breaks the record.
And this is where it's probably the most cartoony it's gotten up until this point, where he flies like off the arm, and the chair
breaks off.
Yeah, the chair goes flying through multiple walls, and of course it's just as the injured man is some of his neck braces come off. He's been told that he should try walking soon, which I actually thought out of context that sentence sounded really weird. Like the nurse is just like, you should try walking, and then she just walks away. And it felt like a cruel thing to walk. I was like, imagine just walking up to someone in a wheelchair. You should try walking, and just leaving.
Thanks, bitch. God.
Now I don't remember if I tried this line or for those of you who don't know, my father was in a wheelchair up until his death, and my childhood he was in a wheelchair, and see when you live in the house with someone in a wheelchair and you're a kid, you do crack jokes. Jokes are cracked. I don't know if I ever said that line to him. And if I didn't, I regret it. I regret it.
Try walking.
I regret it deeply. Have you tried just standing up? I mean, but yeah. So no, so he hits him in the wheelchair.
I dodge a couple of nuns and a bunch of school kids.
Oh yeah, I like how he does like half a prayer on the way past.
Yeah.
He's like, our mother,
Mary, something. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know the words. I don't know the words to the.
I don't know either.
The religion.
Not my area of expertise. Sorry, I gotta adjust. Sitting on the floor.
Tara's not got a chair on the desk yet, so she's
Not yet. I have a chair, but I'm using it to hold up my computer.
So she has to adjust ass cheeks every so often. I mean, to be fair, so am I. But when I do it, I'm just going like this, and there you go, it's done. I do that, and I'm done. There you go, the art of the ass cheek swap. So
the hot tips you get watching the Ace.
Answers to commonly damn it. I'm trying to think of a new acronym that fits the Ace. All right, anyway, and we've got, I'll be honest, one of the jokes I actually really liked in this movie was acronym focused. We'll get to that later when they're launching, but So they're doing these
I
tests.
know which one. It's making me laugh.
And then the next test is like another chair one, but it's like he has to spin around and that's not next. I think it's the breath one next, but we'll do them in order. It's fine. It's like and I've seen this in other movies actually. This test in NASA plot lines, the chair that kind of spins them around all over the place, but they have to like solve a thing in the middle. I feel like this would equally cause nausea, though. I feel like this would also make you sick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe not compared.
I'm not sure.
Maybe the other one's worse for nausea, sure. But like, I feel like, and maybe if you've already done that one, this one's a cakewalk in that sense. But you know,
I don't know.
it's interesting.
I haven't experienced anything like it. I do get seasick, and that has to do with the like the rocking. There's like a certain rhythm where everybody gets sick when they rock back. I don't know what it is, but
everyone has a different rhythm, surely.
Yeah,
and that's why some people don't really get seasick.
There's some that are worse than others.
Yeah,
because I wasn't sick every time I went out to sea, but there were times where certain like slow ones. Oof.
Because there's some people who never get seasick, and I have to imagine it's just because their trigger rhythm is just something that most boats don't hit.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah,
there are tricks. Eat crackers.
Well, I'm glad there's tricks because you were in the Navy, so if you were getting seasick all the time, that would somewhat impair.
I ate a lot of crackers, a lot of saltines.
So
I definitely get seasick.
There's the breath test where they're keeping a ball up in the test tubey thing, right? Come to the ace for all these technical terms. We know what we're talking about all the time.
It's a ping pong ball in a tube with the I don't know, lines on it and water.
Yes, and water. So, but they're doing like a breath test, and he's already got his ball like all the way near the top of it, whereas the other guy, Gordon's, like only about halfway up. And I felt really bad for Gordon because he's looking over at him as he's doing it because they're basically blowing into like a little hose, and he's like, and he's like, and he's like trying really hard to like go do better because he can see how well he's doing. But of course, Fred's ping pong ball shoots out the top of it and bounces off various things in the room and hits Gordon square in the forehead.
After he breaks the record.
After he breaks the record, yes.
He breaks another record of William Sadler's character. Yeah.
Which is important because later on his ability to hold his breath will be very, very useful.
Yeah, this movie is really great at setting up things that down the road pay off. It's really well written. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, you think it's just a fun joke, but it turns out, oh, you need to know this for later.
Oh, this is so your Leprechaun 2. It's not even funny.
Man, I need to watch Leprechaun 2.
Oh my god.
We're gonna watch it tonight.
At the time of recording, the review's going up tomorrow, so I mean, you could certainly visit the review tomorrow if you want.
I better watch the movie tonight then.
Okay, so we have the tests and they're done, and Tara sent me a GIF today, presumably of one of her favorite moments of the film. Yes. There's a press conference in which they are announcing to the world which of the two candidates will be replacing the third man on the flight to Mars. And even though like he did bad in all the tests, everyone's still expecting it to be Gordon because Fred's just an absolute maniac and no one wants to trust him. However, they announce it's Fred, and Tara, do you want to do a recreation of this moment?
Oh, I can't. I got roommates. It's basically full on Miss America pageant winner.
But like a proper like I faked a high pitched scream there, like it's a proper high pitched scream there.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, he shrieks at the sound of his name, that he's getting to go to Mars, and you know there's almost no like time between this and like when they actually launch. You know, he has like one moment with Beau Bridges where he's like, you know, I got 3 coins for my you know my service, and I gave 1 to this astronaut, 1 to this astronaut. Here's the third one for you. Like, that seems like a waste of a coin here, Beau. I would maybe keep that on you. I don't know if Fred's the sort of guy you want to be giving your lucky coin to.
He sees something in him. He sees John Glenn level.
Manson.
Francis. Yeah, he wants to get on his good side.
Bundy.
Bundy. Whoa. Gacy.
Vargulish.
Who's the one? Who's the one whose dog told him to kill people? Son of Sam. Little son of Sam.
Oh, maybe he's just thinking if I give him a coin, he won't kill me later when he comes back.
Right, yeah.
He won't murder me later.
It's like the neighbor of a serial killer, right? Like, I thought he was a good guy.
So,
Always come over my barbecues.
so I'll give you a joke here, the acronym joke. So they're in the shuttle, they're waiting for launch, they're counting down, and both Julie and Bill are, you know, doing all their checks, and they're talking to the command center, mission control, and like, okay, we're doing this, we're doing that, and every time and they're kind of alternating between them, and every time one of them says an acronym, like we're checking the PYG, or you know, the CNB, or you know, they're just throwing all these. I don't know what any of them mean. They're just saying things, right?
They're probably all bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
In between every one, to sound like he fits in, Fred says just random acronyms that he knows.
AT&T.
So, AT&T, KFC, CNN, HBO, MTV.
So dumb.
And it is so dumb, but for some reason it made me laugh, and I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it.
Oh, this movie's gold.
You're a mad woman. You're
A woman of varied taste.
Yeah, it goes all the way down to the shit end of the scale. Yes, those eyebrows are good for the audio listeners. They know what look you're giving me. Oh, cat's up.
I suspect the kitty cat wants out now.
Mischief. Oh, we can actually see him clawing at the door. Oh, we got it on camera. It's happening.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and then the realization that she'll have to get up and also be on camera while still opening the door, which is why she's Pandalol to the right. So we'll wait for the cat to come back in a minute then, because the cat will always come back. Always.
The very next day. Thought he was a goner.
So they go to space, and by the way, I do want to note a lot of stock footage of the rocket taking off, and also later when they're seeing like crowds of people around the world, all stock footage. Very obviously, it doesn't match the footage of the rest of the film at all. So you know, fair enough, and that's notable because the rocket launch looks quite good because it's stock footage. When we get to shots of the shuttle just going through space towards Mars, it looks so cheap and fake.
Toy.
Yeah.
It looks like the Fisher-Price version.
Yeah, it looks so cheap and fake. Which, by the way, Mars itself, the planet, is it just me, or did they crank up the red a little bit too much? Because it looked
is so red.
Yeah,
it
it's
is like cherry flavored.
Yeah, I'm like, no, Mars, it's more of an orangey color. We just call it the red planet. Like, you know?
Yeah, it's the color of like red sand, like iron infused sand, you know?
Exactly. So,
yeah.
But we can't skip straight to Mars because there's some commotion on the way to Mars, as you would expect. We have Fred smurfing himself, or sorry, he blew himself. Because he sticks his head in the toilet.
It would have been great if he had cutoffs.
And oh yes, so good. That's an Arrested Development reference for anyone who didn't catch it. But basically, they're doing this like, you know, presentation to the world, right? They're talking to the president. They're going to be on TV from the shuttle, and it's like he's agreed that he's going to skip that. Fred won't be there, but he ends up sauntering in because he's like, you know, just stuck his head in the toilet and he's confused. So he comes up and they're already live. And he's like, "Oh, are we on? Oh." And the president's like, and the president's like, "Hey, son, yeah, take a moment and tell us what you're going through. Maybe why you're blue, for example." You know, and he basically starts doing this speech about how the Earth looks like a blueberry and how it's almost like he can hold the whole world in his hand. And he starts saying he can hold the whole wide world in his hands, right? And then he does a second verse. He goes, okay, and now all the French people, and he starts.
Je suis le papillon sur la table.
Yeah, he just says like random French
Which
things
means
that he knows.
I am a butterfly on the table.
Because afterwards he says something like he just like says it's not Moulin Rouge, but it's something like that where he just goes Moulin Rouge. Like he's just saying French titles that he knows. And then he does it for like I want to say maybe Germany, right? And it's just cutting around the world. People start singing in. It's whatever. This is the stock footage. I will say I did get a little uncomfortable at the end when he went to now
Chinese,
because that one just kind of felt racist. And I'm sure it's not intended to feel that way given the context of the previous languages, but it just came off a little bit eek.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
You know that joke's not aged well. So, but
yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a Chinese language, just Mandarin and Cantonese.
Yes, I believe so. Well, to be fair, I think the way he phrases it, he says, "And now the Chinese, as in the Chinese people." You know.
Oh, okay.
Right. I don't think
he didn't say now in Chinese.
No, he didn't say that. To his credit, not that I think he would. He doesn't strike me as a character who would understand that either. But to his credit, he did not say that.
Sure. Okay.
He did not say that. But there's a bit of a blunder on because he bonds a little bit with Julie because they're looking at the Earth and stars and they're like, oh, I picked a star as a kid. I'm like, so did I, and they have a little sweet moment. And it's like, is she actually falling for this idiot? Like this is like that episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Dee like starts dating someone who is mentally ill, and like
I don't know if I've seen this one.
Like this is legitimately what it made me think of. Is like why would you want to be in a relationship with this guy who's got the mental age of a 7-year-old? Like it's.
I mean, he does a pretty good rendition of When You Wish Upon a Star.
I guess.
I think she's starting to see like maybe she can lighten up a little bit. Have a good time.
Sure. But
he is a genius, right? Computer genius.
He's a computer genius and also a maniac. So there's a bit of a blunder, so they're going into cryo sleep, right, for the trip. I do want to pick at this a little bit because there's like, oh, we're going to cryo sleep for 8 months, and I'm like, 8 months? You could just have the journey in 8 months, like I mean, obviously we're already like stretching like what's possible in 1997 because they're going to Mars, right? But like, and okay, we'll say that we've got cryo sleep because that's something that sci-fi movies do when we're talking about long journeys in space. But I'm like, it's 8 months. Like I feel like any other movie I've seen that's had a space trip that's 8 months, no, they just talk about the fact that they're on the ship for like a year, and they just deal with it.
Sure. Did they do it in The Martian? Or were there like some people sleeping and some people not?
I don't remember them sleeping. I remember them all being up and like just talking about the fact that the trip's going to take.
The ship was a lot bigger.
Yeah, because I think if I remember right, it was like a 2. Like, I mean, this is probably inaccurate given like how far Mars is, but I remember them saying, "Oh, this is a 2-year trip. We're going to, we essentially lived together for 2 years there, 2 years back." Well, yeah,
but it's a 1 year like going one way and then another year going back.
Okay.
Because they had this thing around Earth.
Yeah. So that's good. I guess in the 8 months in this is closer to The Martian, which means I assume it's closer to not being completely
accuracy.
Yeah, it's not completely silly.
I assume so too.
Yeah, but they researched one thing kind of. I'm sure there'll be a commenter saying, "Nah, the actual distance to Mars is this," but then again, we don't know how fast they're going.
No, and it's different if you leave from Earth, and in The Martian, I think they left from space, from like a spaceport.
That's true. Also, I mean, worth mentioning is, all that said, I'm pretty sure that you always go as fast as you can in space, because why wouldn't you?
Well, you have to slow down eventually.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is because you get propelled in space, right, and then you just let the momentum carry you.
Sure.
Presumably we move as fast as we reasonably can without having fancy things like light speed travel and all sorts that would let us get further.
Mm-hmm.
I assume we just go as fast, like, when we say it takes this long to get to the moon or this long to get to Mars, it's like, that's literally as fast as we can go. Like, why wouldn't we be going top speed?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I guess.
well, you know, we're just gonna go at half speed. Just make it a nice, like, you know, scenic journey. Yeah, space. It's still space. Oh, next day you get up, it's still space. Oh, it's still black with some stars. Oh, it's changed so much.
It looks really pretty in Star Trek. Even at Impulse.
I love how you brought up Star Trek again.
You're welcome, audience. This movie has it all.
Oh, you make me die over here. So there's a blunder though. Why don't you describe what happens on the way there? They're going to cryo sleep, and what happens that shakes things up.
So the two other astronauts go into their cryo sleep chambers first, and then Fred has to put the monkey away, but he gets distracted by Julie's beauty while she's falling asleep. That the chimp, excuse me, gets out of his tiny little chamber and goes into Fred's and closes it, and it automatically starts up. So Fred says, well, fine, if you're going to take mine, I'm going to take yours. And he like folds himself into this tiny little chimpanzee-sized cryo chamber tube. And the gas kicks in and he goes to sleep. And he wakes up feeling extra refreshed. And he goes to the computer to see how much longer until the trip. And he's only been asleep for 13 minutes. It's so funny. 13 minutes, and then we get a great montage of him like just trying not to go crazy.
I am genuinely in awe of how excited Tara was describing that moment. I want to poke out a couple of holes in this. One, why did you specifically build one that's half size for the chimpanzee? Like, that would have solved this problem. And then secondly, why did the two astronauts who are trustworthy and sensible and effectively in charge let Fred be the last one to go to sleep? Like, they should have tucked him in. Like, tuck him in and make sure he's knocked out before they go to sleep.
Yeah, maybe the chimpanzee seems to know what he's doing, so maybe take care of Fred first.
Yes. And I'm going to double down on that, because at the end of the movie, the joke right at the very end is that it happens again on the way back. And I'm like, did you two learn nothing? Do not trust Fred to go in his cryo sleep chamber on his own.
And he's going to have to lick the ceiling for food.
Yeah, we should probably talk about the fact that before they go to sleep, he makes them dinner, right? And they've got all these tubes with food in them. And the chimpanzee...
Oh my god.
Gus is having one of those days.
Gus,
go back to sleep, you little menace. This is so exciting. Oh. We're watching Tara drag a cat tree across the room with great difficulty, so that she can hopefully distract the cat with a fluffy bit of rope.
Why not? We don't have an extra Mystery Science Theater this week, so why not do kitty cat instead?
You get kitty cat action, yeah. No, absolutely. Actually, for a rare occasion, I don't have any cats in here, I don't think.
Well, I'm doubling down on mine.
You're doubling down. But yeah, double down. So please refer to the point I just made about how at the end they've learned nothing and still go to sleep first and let Fred get himself in this position again.
Well, I mean, Fred's kind of earned like their admiration at this point because he saved both of them and completed the mission. And who knows, he would. I mean, if anybody else was there, who knows if they would have made it. And so, because they had their character arcs of going from not liking him to accepting him as one of their own, I guess they just kind of trust him from this point. Also, it's a kids' movie, so shut up.
Okay, so they wake up. There's a montage of him wasting tons of food by like using it to paint and draw things, and he's basically done his 16th chapel on the ceiling.
16th, yeah.
16.
It's not the number. 16.
I said 16th chapel, didn't I?
Oh, I thought you said 16th.
I thought it said 16th, but look, maybe some accent, you know,
Okay.
collateral damage occasionally. Anyway, so he's done that in the ceiling, and it's like of him touching the chimp's like finger, but he's also got Julie sort of with his arm around her as well. I'd be upset if I was Bill, you know, on top of the fact that he's wasted a lot of the food, that, you know.
He's not included in the mural.
Oh, I was going to tell you about the chimp swapping out the food in the dinner scene with laxatives, which is why Fred has to end up go to the toilet. But we also end up with a hemorrhoid cream for William Sadler, and then Julie. Yeah, I mean, she gets off light toothpaste. I mean,
yeah,
you put that in your mouth anyway. I mean, sure, I'm not saying I would like to put a big wallop of it on its own just in, but
thinking it's potatoes.
Yeah, but like, you know, it's not the worst thing ever. Like hemorrhoid cream.
Pretty terrible. Yeah. Laxatives, at least you're supposed to eat.
True. I mean, it has an unfortunate knock-on effect, but
yeah. Unless it's a suppository, but I don't think those come in tubes.
No. Not unless you get a syringe or something. Shove it up your ass. Yeah. Oh, we're moving on. Okay, we'll move it on. Tower's giving me the signal that we don't want to talk about laxatives anymore. All right, so they wake up. They're not happy about him, but they get to Mars, and he's kind of useless. He just gives a number here or there when they're landing, but they get down to Mars, and Bill's supposed to be the first man who steps on Mars. He's the captain. He's supposed to have his Neil Armstrong moment, and he's talking to the president. He's talking to the world through TV, right? As he's going down on the ladder, and he's like, he's not quite saying, you know, one small step, blah blah, but he's doing his version of that speech. He's giving this speech.
Yeah, something very well rehearsed.
Yes, he's been thinking about this for years. And Fred, who's starting to descend the ladder himself, then slips and falls and lands first. Like, I'm not gonna lie, if Bill decided to murder him right there and then, I would not have blamed him.
I love it.
I would not have blamed him.
Not only does he step on Mars first, but he's also the first to say words on Mars.
Yes, the first words on Mars, which is, I'm actually amazed we've not mentioned this yet, because one of the most common things he does, which is really childish, is he'll do something bad that people don't like, and he'll immediately say, "It wasn't me.
It wasn't me."
And he'll point at the chimp and say it was a chimp, or he'll point at Julie, he'll point at someone, and he lands on Mars and says, "It wasn't me," and we see like a newspaper cover saying "It wasn't me." First words on Mars. And later on, of course, when he says this again, Bill rightly points out, "We're on Mars. There's no one else it could be."
Later on, one of the best scenes of the film, probably the reason the film was made. But Cat is so dumb.
Yes. So, I want to make a general observation about the Mars portion here. Is that they're in obviously astronaut, you know, outfits and spacesuits. Now, I pointed this out to you, and I watched it first. Did you notice what I pointed out about the helmets?
Yeah, I noticed this when I was a kid too.
Yeah. Not every shot, but for some reason there's random shots throughout the Mars section where the spacesuits just don't have the glass in them. They're just open, but we're supposed to think there's glass in them. Why?
I don't know. Maybe it was on a different set piece and they had too much reflection. Who knows?
I imagine reflection's the real answer, but I'm like, you just work around it. But no, as a kid's movie, we'll just take it out and hope they don't notice. Like that's basically the attitude.
Yeah, it's really like, I don't know. It's like in the same scene, like just shot and shot would be glass on and glass off.
Yeah, because it was the scene that you said is the best scene, which we'll get to soon. I was noticing it like swap shot to shot, that there'd be some glass there and some reflection, and then there'd be none. And I'm like, you're just breathing on Mars. Stop this. Stop this right now. Yeah, so it's, director Stuart Gillard should be ashamed of yourself for this decision. That's all I'm saying. Ashamed.
Shame.
Yeah.
Keeping it from a perfect 10.
Oh, oh, by the way, guys, at the end of the show, I will also rate Primer because I forgot I never gave my number last week at the end of the show.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
right.
I'll retroactively rate that too. So they get to like the edge of a cliff and they're just kind of basking in Mars, and basically he decides that Fred decides that he wants to be the first to do a lot of things on Mars. So he starts being like, I'm the first to walk backward on Mars. I'm the first to blow a kiss on Mars. I'm the first to do this. I'm the first to do that.
And Sadler's getting super irritated, especially because not only is he like taking his spotlight on Mars because he wanted to be the first to do everything on Mars, but also like in the beginning during the training montage, how he broke all of his records. This has been building up for a long time.
Yep. And
we get the flag planting.
Yes, which for the record, I noticed wasn't actually being planted. It was on like a tripod. It was on like a stand that wasn't like in the ground. And I'm like,
yeah, and they have windstorms all the time. So
yeah, this isn't the moon. This isn't like no gravity or low gravity moon where it'll just stay there. You're going to have to dig it in. And even then, it may not survive. Yeah, so Fred drops the flag off the side of a cliff. He drops the flag off the side of the cliff.
The flag.
Yes, he drops the American flag off the side of the cliff, and Bill's like, I was waiting all my life to plant the flag on Mars, on a distant planet.
But you took this from me too.
Like, I got to the distant planet, and that was the easy part. So, like, he's pissed at him. But then Fred has a genius idea. He's like,
which defies the laws of physics.
It does. Like, how exactly does he pull his underwear out of his spacesuit without exposing himself to the world of Mars? Exactly.
Well, first of all, he has to get his boxers off without being able to like remove them from his legs. And he has to be able to remove them from his legs and get them out of his spacesuit without exposing the spacesuit. It doesn't make any sense. But it's great.
He has American flag boxer shorts, which they then put on the flag stand. And I love how the president's not only kind of half paying attention. Like his country is literally landing on Mars, and he's like kind of like reading a paper and drinking his coffee, and then just sort of notices out the side of his eyes, like, wait, what?
Yeah. And everyone at NASA is starting to salute, all proud.
Oh God! All right, so and then we get to what you are calling the best scene in the movie, which is
the reason this movie was made.
Yes, they have to there's a rupture in Bill's tank, his O2 tank, so he has to connect to Fred's.
What are you freaking out for?
He has to get to Fred's to share his O2, his oxygen. And there goes Tara again, damn cats. It's to share his oxygen, and because of that, they are connected by pipe, by this hose. And what's interesting to me is Sadler's line at the start of this, when he's told this, he's like, "Is that sanitary?" So we get this scene where they're literally tethered together. If things couldn't get worse for Bill, he is now literally tied to Fred, and Fred with an air hose. And then Fred,
who, by the way, before they went out on Mars, started eating the leftover food that they still had, which was like anchovies. And I don't know what else. I remember the tube of anchovies. So presumably this has given him some gas.
Can't forget.
Like I said, brilliant writing, set up beforehand. You don't, it's just a little fact that you think is nothing, and then it pays off later on.
I don't know what to say anymore. I just don't know.
Well, you gotta describe the scene.
The phrase "crazy bitch" comes to mind.
How dare you? Classy lady. Classy films.
The phrase is "classy broad." Get it right. But for the record, I'm the only classy broad on MaleFuzz TV. Thank you very much.
All right. Fair. I've been working on my beard my whole life. I can't do it. I'll never be at your level.
Oh, so he farts and he tries to hold it in. There's literally like a bubble of air going through the hose, and he tries to hold it, or his suit, and then it goes. You can see it going. It's this stupid, childish visual effect or special effect of this rippling like bubble going through the hose, which gets to William Sadler, and he smells it, and. And not only that, of course, Fred's suit like balloons up.
Expands like a balloon every single time he farts.
Look, I'm going to give this movie credit. I actually laughed a lot at it. This farting thing is stupid. It's stupid, and I don't like it.
Then why does everyone at NASA start cracking up?
They start cracking up because one of them just says, "Oh, I'm picking up lots of methane levels." Like methane.
He says that that Bill is very stressed out and that his numbers are going like crazy, his readings or whatever, and they're like, "I'm getting a high amount of methane." Methane.
And then they all start giggling.
Yep, because fart jokes will never die.
No, but thankfully I will. So.
This is the evolution of the bean scene at the campfire from Blazing Saddles.
Oh, jeez. So they get back, and Bill is pissed because the storm's coming in, even though, like, Bridges warned them. Bo Bridges warned them earlier there was going to be a storm. But, the dude's like, no, we have to go. We're not aborting this mission. And it's dangerous. It'll be too dangerous to go and get the samples they want to try and prove there's life on Mars or whatever. And Bill's like, no, like, I failed at everything because this idiot is taking it from me. So you know what? I'm doing this one damn thing. So he goes out in the middle of the night and goes missing. And Fred has to be the hero and go out after him. And it turns out he's been out in the little rover and it's flipped over him and he's trapped. And this was the second moment in the film where I remembered a specific thing. I remembered what the general plot was, of course, after all this time, but I remembered a specific line of dialogue here, this moment, when he comes up to like help him, and he tries to pick up the rover that's pinned him down, and he says, "Call me mummy." To which Bill says, "What?" And Fred exclaims that they say that if their child is trapped, a mother can gain the strength of 20 men. It's like the adrenaline, so call me mummy. And he's like, I'd rather die on Mars. It's like, call me mummy. And he's like, oh, mummy. It's like, no, mean it. Mean it. Say it with emotion.
Mummy. Please, mummy, help.
And it works. The crazy thing is that it works. He picks up the rover and gets him back to base. He does have to give him his oxygen at some point, so he has to hold his breath. So, Bill has to kind of go back.
You, little Billy.
Yeah. He has to go back out and save him. Oh dear. And then and then the final challenge in the movie is just that they're kind of falling back down after they've launched. So he has to kind of do the chair test again, where he's like rocking around, but he has to fix the system, and then he does that, and there you go. That's basically the movie over. Although he does somehow, even though it's clearly not the same material, he makes a suit and a dress out of the space blankets, so that him and Julie have shiny like attire so they can dance.
It's sweet.
It's fucking garbage is what it is. The ending may be the worst part of this movie. It's where any semblance of logic just goes out the window and just nonsense after nonsense happens.
I mean, if there was a part 2, it would probably end with him dead, right? Like they would get back to Earth after 8 months and he would have starved to death like 5 months ago.
Yep, that sounds
super
about right.
Dark.
That sounds about right. Now, what they'll probably find is that he actually broke into the chimp's cell and just cooked him and ate him for the last few months.
Oh, no, Ulysses.
And hell, if he needs to, he'll probably do it with Billy. He'll save Julie for last because he likes Julie.
Yeah.
But,
I guess he is Gacy after all.
Do you realize that we have went over an hour going through the plot of Rocketman?
No.
We have went through the plot of Rocketman and it's taken over an hour. And I wanted, so now that we've wrapped up the whole movie, I want to know, like, what you think the character arc of Fred is. Like, what makes this work on a scripting level?
Fred is just a dreamer, a boy with a dream.
Bullshit.
And he finds himself lost a midlife crisis in a job that doesn't appreciate him.
Bullshit.
And you never know where opportunity is gonna, come knocking.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, he gets the career of a lifetime, a position that nobody thought that he could do, and he overcomes adversity and mental illness.
Bullshit.
Gets the love of his life. Everything really works out for him because he works hard and he's stuck to his morals. And yeah.
He's just as much of an idiot at the end of the movie as at the start. He just happens.
He's Forrest Gump,
Yeah. Oh, Jesus, this movie. And I hate to say it, but I was laughing more often than I'd care to admit.
Sure. It's just a stupid movie. It's a stupid, fun, funny movie. The jokes work. I mean, some of the jokes are for kids, yeah. But who cares? It's as good as like the Mr. Bean movie.
Mr. Bean movie's
it's
better.
Ernest, it's Ernest Scared Stupid. It's Ernest Goes to Mars.
Now, I liked the Ernest movies as a kid, but I can't say that I think they're good movies or that they hold up.
I think you and Tim should do Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yeah. Well, did Ernest Go to Mars? Did you say we could do that one?
No. I made that up. I'm saying
okay.
That's what this is. This is just another Ernest movie.
Yeah, there was no sci-fi Ernest, I don't think.
So.
Although there was one where
Ernest Scared Stupid has some really good makeup design and creature designs. I think you guys might like it.
He did get lightning powers at one point, and Ernest goes to jail.
Oh, I've seen that one, but I don't remember the lightning. He becomes slower.
Ooh, spooky. It's more of a Raiden thing. He's like shooting lightning out of his fingers, I believe.
From the electric chair or something?
Something stupid like that. I don't know if it looks like lightning or if it's more of like a spark that just happens when he points his finger, but I remember that. Do you know what I'll say about the Ernest movies? I actually think Ernest Saves Christmas has a really good plot for a Christmas movie. I don't know if it holds up just because Ernest's humor is, Ernest, but like the whole plot of that movie is that Santa is looking for a replacement and no one believes he's Santa, and like Ernest and like this other girl have to eventually help him like find a replacement, and it's this guy who slowly believes that he's becoming Santa Claus, and at the end he rides off on Christmas Eve to deliver the presents. It's actually a really sweet plot for a Christmas movie.
Sure. Sounds familiar to like the Tim Allen ones.
Sure. I actually liked the Ernest one more as a kid, if I'm honest, but
I don't remember. I mean, I watched them. I know I did.
I didn't see. I mean, there's more Ernest movies than I saw. I saw Scared Stupid. I saw Goes to School, Goes to Prison, Saves Christmas, Slam Dunk Ernest, where you got the magic sneakers that let him be a great basketball player. Ernest Rides Again. I don't remember
any of these. I remember Ernest Scared Stupid because it was like legitimately scary for a kids movie.
Ernest Rides Again was him on like a cat. It was him and this other guy riding a cannon that was like rolling through like hills and shit. The first one, I believe this is the first one, was Ernest Goes to Camp, which I saw as well. So that's 7.
I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah, that's 7 I think I saw. I don't remember any other ones that I saw. I know there was more. I know there was one that went to Africa. I never saw that one though.
I don't think I've seen that one either. It's probably not aged well.
Oh, probably not. And just to complete this list, because I know everyone's curious at home now which ones I'm missing, so I'm going to go to Wikipedia and go to the Ernest franchise.
This is why they watch.
It is. Ernest goes to jail's the first one. Whatever. I just need to click on the franchise. Where are we? Down here. Ernest P. Worrell series. Here we go. Ernest was in a thing. He was in a thing before. Camp was the first movie that was just him, but he was in a movie called Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloombeam.
And it was an Ernest P. World? He was like a side character?
Oh, he's on the poster.
Huh.
Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloombeam is a 1986 American science fiction comedy.
Oh my god.
Starring Jim Varney. It is the first film to feature the Ernest P. Worrell character. However, it is a slightly darker tone than his later films. I'm intrigued by this. The film was released on video in 1992. Blah 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 blah. The synopsis on here is like the full plot, so I'm not going to read that. But
maybe this would be a good bonus episode.
I think this may be a good bonus episode. So there's an Ernest movie that's darker than the rest, and it's called Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloombeam. Holy shit! What a discovery! But just to complete the list, so Ernest Goes to Camp was the next one, and then Saves Christmas, then Goes to Jail was the fourth, the fifth was Scared Stupid, the sixth was Right Again, the seventh was Goes to School, the eighth was Slam Dunk Ernest, the ninth was Ernest Goes to Africa, and then the final one that was the 10th is Ernest in the Army. I never saw the last two.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
So I actually saw all of them except the first one up until the last two. So I saw basically the big middle chunk of them. That's interesting. But the first one's science fiction. Interesting. Very interesting, comrade.
Remember to put that down the list.
I will. I ain't forgetting that now. You kidding me? So we should probably... is there anything else you want to say about Rocketman? Like, do you want to defend it and your love of it?
I think we could wrap it up.
Do you want to say anything else? No, let's rate it. Let's rate it right now, Peter. It's time to be done. Oh, the ginger's...
Yeah, I think everything I have to say is like a closing thought.
What's this?
What are you doing?
Oh, interesting. Oh, Connor's messaged me something about joining up for a program that's to do with podcasts. I don't know. I'll read it properly later. So, we're rating this sumbitch then. Rocketman. And I want to reiterate again at the end when it went to the credits and the song Rocketman by Elton John started playing, I started laughing because I know that every time we've brought this up, we've said it's not the Elton John thing, it's the it's the movie from 1997. But they used the song.
I do not use the song though.
Yeah. What would you rate Rocketman out of 10?
Well, it's almost a perfect film, but unfortunately, there are some things that bring it down. I know it's not a great movie. It's just like, it's a fun watch. You know, I defend it a lot because it's not trying to be what it's not. I think it is well written. A lot of the jokes, get set up early and pay off later. There's not a whole else lot that I know Harlan Williams for. I think he was just bored to play this film and then kind of disappeared for a while and went back to stand-up probably. Yeah, I think it's good. I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
8.5
for the film of its genre, which is like science fiction, family movie, comedy. Yes, I think it succeeds at what it's trying to do.
That's like the third or fourth highest score you've given out on this show.
Oh, I don't know. I think that's pretty close to what I gave Men in Black, which I think was an 8, and I think this is better than that.
I wonder how many people you're triggering right now. This is better than Men in Black.
It is. I think it is. Yeah.
Oh, it's too goofy for me in places to necessarily give it an outright good score. But I will say I was impressed that I did find some jokes funny. Some of the jokes did land. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting to hate it the whole time. So because of that, I will give it the closest to what I would consider a good score I can, which is 6.5.
Oh, horrible.
That's too
so sad.
That's too low for Rocketman for you. 6.5.
That's too low. I know you like this movie. You get a young Beau Bridges. Or not young, but like youngish. Younger than Stargate.
Tara, do you realize that before I watched this, I was expecting my score to maybe scrape a 5 at best? Like, I am surprised I'm going this high. This is a win. This is in the win column for you.
How often do you get a good chimp movie?
Do I have to bring up a certain trilogy from the last several years?
Okay, yes.
starring
Shame on
Caesar,
me.
right? You know, we got Rise and Dawn and War, that trilogy, which we'll definitely do in this show at some point because this is a sci-fi show, and we'll do
Mhm.
those movies at some
I
point.
think it's a goofy film that's, from of its time with a great chimp and a great character. I love this movie. I know it's stupid. I don't care. It's on my list.
Okay, and just to add in an amendment for last episode on Primer, because I never actually got around to saying the number for the score. So let's get serious for a second. Talk about Primer. Now, could you give it an 8? And I'm pretty on the same wavelength as that for the most part. I think the second time watching Primer, though, I did get to a point where I was noticing the flaws in the script a little bit more. So I am going to just nudge it down very slightly in that to 7.5. I'm really impressed with what they achieved in that film, but I don't think I can quite call it great. That said, to put it like sort of, we just do half points, right? But to put it in perspective of where it falls in terms of being close to an 8, on Letterboxd, which you can't do, like you can do half stars, but I think of it out of 10. So to me, half a star is 1, and then so on. So because I can't do 7.5, I have to round it. So when I was forced to round it, I did go to 4 stars.
Okay.
So
you think it's closer to an 8 than a 7.5, like 7.75?
Yeah, 7.75. But if I've got the option of doing the 0.5, I'll give it the 0.5. But if I'm having to pick between the 7 and the 8, then I'm saying it's closer to the 8.
Fair.
That was a
What
really
do we have coming up next time?
That was a really convoluted way of saying that, I know. What do we have coming up next time? So we should have a Mystery Science Theater movie, which you told us last time. Time Chasers, was it?
Time Chasers.
Yeah.
Because we were in time travel mode.
Yeah.
It's good.
And then the next actual movie, as I get this schedule up, or top secret schedule. Top secret schedule. Coming up next week. Oh, I actually said this in the last episode. I remembered saying, hey, just in case you're upset that we're doing Rocketman and we're wasting an episode on that. Next episode. Next episode, I would argue, is the biggest film you've done in the show. And in terms of like heavy hitters, is probably the second one we've had, because I'd say the first heavy hitter was the first one we did. It was Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah, that's classic.
I would call that a heavy hitter. I would say this film is bigger than that in terms of pop culture. But you can debate that well or not you want. But I think this is the second big film, the big sort of film that everyone knows about, and that is the Terminator. So
dun dun dun.
So we'll be talking.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun. Dun.
Yes. Dun 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 dun. I love that score so much. I'm sure I'll say this next week, but that was the first piece of film music that I knew I loved and wanted to listen to, just the music. And I got
for Terminator 1 or Terminator 2?
Terminator 1's. Well, kind of both, but the one I got a hold of was the opening, and I do actually prefer the main theme from the first movie over the second one. But I love both. But hey, so anyway,
very cool. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and Terminator is like one of my favorite films. Like I will tell you right now, there's going to be some high scores at the end of next episode. Brace yourself. Brace
Me
yourself
too.
for it. So yeah,
I don't think it's gonna be a shock to anyone who likes science fiction films that we're gonna rate it pretty high.
Sarah Connor. Yeah, that was a bad impression. I can't do the Arnold voice.
I don't really know any quotes other than "I'll be back."
I
gotta work on my Schwarzenegger before next week.
Yeah, Uzi 9mm.
What?
Uzi 9mm. It was in a gun shop. And he's like asking for guns. And
I need your clothes, your boots, and your bike.
Oh, that's the second movie.
Damn it.
Because the first one is Bill Paxton. He's like, nice night for a walk. Nothing clean, right?
Paxton.
I know all about Paxton. Even Dick. Dick Miller, if I'm saying his name right. Who's the guy in the gun shop? He passed away this year, and I love him. He pops up in all the Joe Dante movies. I've seen him. He's in Chopping Mall of all things. Like, I love that bit actor. So it was like 97 or something. He grew to an old age. Like he had a good run of it, but So yeah, next week is Terminator. Be super excited. So this week we went long on a stupid movie because we're silly. Next week we may actually go equally long, but because we actually have that much stuff to talk about that's interesting, and we can break
down. It'd be
down.
nice for people to watch the show again next week. Who's gonna watch this one?
For the record, our lowest episode so far was Tetsuo. I guess the weird experimental art house Japanese film was
maybe it's because people want to watch it and they don't want to spoil it first.
And our most watched episode, or most episode overall, is The Wandering Earth. So, which is also a foreign film. So I guess it's not the foreign element that's keeping people away.
Yeah, it's Netflix.
Yeah, the third most though is The Final Countdown, which was 2 hours long.
So weird.
I know, it's so good. But yeah, so that has been this episode. No Mystery Science Theater section this week, but we will have one next episode. We promise, and we will be there with that. So look forward to Time Chasers and the Terminator. Hey, that's also a time travel movie, so it actually ended up being paired up with, because we ended up wanting to because we wanted to record Rocketman a little bit early and sort of sneak one in, and it pushed the Mystery Science Theater a week. It kind of worked out better because time travel.
How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Let's see if this one melts our brains.
Well, I'm pretty used to Terminator at this point. If Time Chasers might.
Definitely.
I mean, maybe it'll explain. Maybe it'll tie into Space Mutiny, and that'll be why that woman was alive after she died. There was time travel involved.
Yeah, maybe there is a hidden prequel.
Yeah, maybe. But that has been the Atomic Cinema Experiment. This has been test subject number 14, I believe. Rocketman. So let us know what you think of the movie if you've seen it in the comments below. Like, it's just great about stuff. One of the big things you can do if you listen to the audio podcast version on the audio feed is that you can rate us on your podcast app, whether that's Apple Podcasts or anything else. Do that because it helps people find our show. You can support us financially more directly if you want to keep the lights on and make sure we can keep producing podcasts and afford all these movie rentals. Because I rented Rocketman today. Do you know how I felt clicking the purchase button?
You know why I did? Because I put in my DVD copy and I realized I have a full screen copy of it. I went, I can't watch a full screen to review it.
I approve.
So I went and rented it.
Plus, you rented it in HD, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you got a HD, proper aspect ratio. Yeah.
Yeah.
I approve. I would rent it and instead of watching a full screen DVD.
I'm gonna throw that thing away and buy the Blu-ray.
Yeah. There is a Blu-ray. I checked.
Yeah, I know. I thought I had it, but I was wrong.
Oh dear. So you can do that, but you can go to Patreon and you can support us there. And why should they support us on Patreon? What did they get out of it, Tara?
Well, if you donate as little as $1 per month, you'll get bonus episodes of the Ace, which we do every month. Plus, you get these episodes a week early. The address is patreon.com/MileFuzzTV.
Yeah, and I'm glad you remembered to do that because I never did that. Because I was going to let you do the Patreon bit like always, but I kind of blurred the lines a little bit by talking about paying for movie rentals.
I'm still here.
Yes, no, we can see. We can just peek it in at the side. Holding the mic like a pro.
Watch me crab walk and shuffle.
It's like a horror movie. No. So yeah, go to Patreon, check that out, and get us on the Twitters at the Ace Podcast. Where sometimes, and you know what, if people want to ask us questions on that Twitter, we'll answer some maybe as part of the show.
Yeah.
We can do a question or two a week, maybe, if people want to ask us questions on the Twitters.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Or on YouTube comments. Maybe the YouTube comments as well. We'll maybe make that the final segment of the show. We'll do a Mystery Science Theater and then a couple of...
Because the show's never long enough,
couple of questions. Yeah, the show's never long enough. Let's make it a full-on feature production. But yeah, so go to at the Ace Podcast and follow. So that is us. That has been the show. We do like to promote maybe a thing or two of other content that we do at the end as well, just to keep you interested and engaged with other stuff that we work on. Tara, what would you like to promote?
Well, since we watched a movie from the writer of Chernobyl, you can check out the Chernobyl podcast that we did.
Yeah, relevant material.
Yeah.
Yeah, show your
Okay.
child Rocketman, have them have a good giggle, and then put on Chernobyl, and then horrify them for life.
I mean, both has they clearly did a lot of research in both. I mean, they got the 8 months like about right.
About right. I mean, that's just assuming The Martian is right, but I assume The Martian was at least researched enough for that to be right.
Yeah, it was book first. You know, they got to research books for smart people.
Books are for smart people, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a good one to recommend. I will also throw in some science fiction TV, specifically stuff that me and Tara do, if you like. Me and Tara as a pair, specifically. Check out both the reviews of the original Twilight Zone series. We are... at least in terms of recording, we're about halfway through season 1 of that, and they have long seasons, so there's a nice chunk of those to watch and listen to now. If you want the podcast version, that's called Fuzz in the Zone. If you're on YouTube, you just look for the Twilight Zone reviews playlist, and you can check out those. If
You're driving me crazy.
And also worth mentioning that we're getting ever closer to the continuation of Babylon 5, which Tara is catching up on.
That's right.
Right now. She's very close to being halfway through her catch-up. But it's worth mentioning the first half was hampering while she was also getting ready to move across a country. So there was a lot of reasons why she wasn't going too quickly in that first part. So we will be back with Babylon 5 soon. I reviewed the first 17 episodes on my own, but we will be back with that with both me and Tara continuing from there in the very near future. So check out that. No audio podcast feed for that as of yet, but if you're interested in one, do make some noise because we can arrange that. But yeah, so if you want to hear us talk about more sci-fi stuff, those are your avenues for it. So Gus, which is Tara's cat for everyone who doesn't know that. Gus, would you like to have any final words of the episode?
I'll give him the mic. Husky. He just gave a couple of sniffs. I don't know what that means.
The deafening sound of silence, the judgment of a cat.
Those eyes.
Tara, would you like
Eyes
any?
of silent judgment.
Would you like any final words, final statement of the show? Anything you want to point out again, or get your final thought on?
Oh, I'm really glad that we did this one. You know, I'm not over Chernobyl being gone yet, so it was nice to see the origin of the great writing for the show. Thank you.
I was just about to say this is almost sound like a thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So now we have to do 10 weird films in a row that I pick because I did Rocketman.
Yeah, we did Tetsuo.
We did. So yeah, my final thought of the show would be that I don't have one prepared. It's just that Fred is a serial killer. He's a predator, and also everyone else is abusing a mentally ill person. So that's my thoughts on the movie.
I don't think we watched the same movie.
I was reading between the lines, Tara. Between the lines.
I'll wait for the Rocketman podcast official to come out from Disney.
We should tweet Chris
with the writer.
We should tweet Craig Mazin. Hey, do you know you did a podcast after each episode of Chernobyl? Can you do like a Rocketman podcast? I want to hear about Rocket.
Behind the scenes scoops.
Oh, okay. That has been us, guys. That has been episode 14 of the Atomic Cinema Experiment. We appreciate you for watching or listening. We always do. Thank you very much once again. Love you loads. Keep watching sci-fi movies, guys. And computer, add salsa.
Peanut butter jelly sandwiches. Yum, yum.